Today's video has been brought to you by Chic Clothing. Go to www.chicclothing.com for our line of hand-designed signature caps and more information on how you can have your caps color customized to your liking. Plan your adventure. Subscribe to our mailing list to be informed about upcoming expansion to our line of clothing. Man, oh man, this is going to be a first, really. Well, that I try to go into detail about it. And so it's been over a week since I've seen Thor Ragnarok, and I've been hearing that, it should have been a more serious film. Why is it a comedy? Ragnarok, it's a serious event. That means it's the end of Asgard. Why is it taking such in a light tone? So I'm gonna try to make sense of it and stuff of the film for what I've seen, because it wasn't because it was a comedy and it was fun that I'm blinding myself, or I was blinded to what people are saying. So I sat on this for a week. I've seen it exactly a week ago from today, and I don't feel that I'm wrong. Like, it's my opinion. I'm not accustomed. I try to understand other people's opinions because I don't want to force it on there. I don't want to sound biased or anything. So I actually had to sit on it and actually think about it thoroughly, about how I feel about this movie. And as it stands, it is my favorite Thor film. And as of now, it's one of my favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe films, because it, mainly right now on the strength alone, that it found a rhythm, it found a niche for Thor. They played it Shakespearean in the first movie, and they played the Shakespearean, and it was quaint. It was alright, The second one, they went a bit more for the comedy. They went for a more larger scale. But what happened is that we didn't get a villain that was the villain Loki was, because we found out that they had other plans for Loki in the Marvel Cinematic Universe when the Avengers came out and going forth. And with the Dark World, of course, you start to realize that Loki is an opportunist. Loki is a self-preservationist, and you see that more in Thor Ragnarok as well. And so let's get into Thor Ragnarok. The beginning sets up exactly how the movie is. It's like he's on the lid. He's captured. He let himself get captured by Surtur, demon, the Fire Lord Surtur, and he's in this coffin thing, and he's spinning. Each time he go around, it's like, all right, I'm gonna talk to you, like, when I get around and stuff. And he did that twice, and I was like, okay, it's gonna be one of those comedy films and stuff like that. But I don't gauge it like, I found that funny. I did, but not like, oh my god, they're funny. It's like I actually started to I gauged the crowd's reaction to it. And what did I hear? Who did I hear laughing in there? A lot of the females, a lot of the young 12-year-old kids that the parents brought there. So as I went on with the movie, I started to see that more and more people, what the comedy really served the purpose for. The comedy really put it to the fact, it really smoothed over a lot of things that happened. It really, this is why I think a lot of parents will take their kids to see Thor Ragnarok, because there's something Asgard. We're seeing Asgardians. We're seeing characters that we became fond of in the first two films. We see them get slaughtered. We see them get killed. And Thor is Elseworld. He's on the Elseworld. He's trying to. I'll get to that in a moment. But the comedy wasn't like, oh my god, hell, it's the end of it's the end of Asgard. Ha 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 ha. Let's celebrate this. You get where it was. Thor was trying to get back to Asgard. Once all the events, once he got separated during the Rainbow Bridge, going back to traveling the Rainbow Bridge, him and Loki got separated. So, on this planet ran by Grandmaster, this is where all the funny stuff happened. As it cut back to Asgard, this is where the stakes, this is where all the stakes were. This is where all the bad shit was going down. And Thor was trying to get there without the use of his hammer, because Hela, who turns out to be his sister, played by Cate Blanchett, she was very powerful. She's a lot older than Thor. She garners her power from Asgard. So being alive longer, being banished within the realm of being alive longer, being able to absorb more powers to Asgard, being more in tune to the Asgardians, she was able to draw more power. Thor, to this point in time, Odin had him believing that Mjolnir was the power source, was his power source. So once the hammer was broken, that unleashed the true Thor, and you seen that through the movie. And so it's like this. Beginning, getting back to what I was talking about, Thor he gets captured by Surtur, tells Surtur he's been having these visions, and the Surtur was in him, and Surtur was like, oh, so you've been having dreams of Ragnarok and stuff, and he's a teller, and Surtur knew that Odin was not on Asgard. So Thor, being, I guess, evolving, getting smarter in this film, got smarter, knowing what his brother's capable of, came back right away and realized it was Loki. Like, because people was like, how did he figure it out? I was like, you gotta understand, he's been burned numerous times by Loki, and he's had a soft spot for him, which he does, but he doesn't trust him like he used to anymore, and his actions showed. So he automatically knew right away that Odin was Loki, and he got him to tell him where he was at. You realize that they went down to New York City and left him in front of a retirement home without his memories, with an enchantment that Loki left him in that state. So next thing you know, Doctor Strange just teleports Loki away, because Doctor Strange has really taken to his duties. So any beings from different galaxies, different dimensions, different realms of the cosmos, he is on top of it and stuff. And he knew that Thor wasn't the threat, but his brother was. So he had him taken away, left an address card. Thor gets there. Little comedic moments going there with him using his magic to aid Thor. And I like the fact that Thor's hammer, Thor and Loki were in enchantment to let people see them as having plain clothes on. Thor had his denim on, and he had an umbrella with him, but the umbrella was Mjolnir, which is like a throwback to the Donald Blake era of Thor, when Donald Blake was the disguise of Thor on Earth, and when he slammed his cane to the ground, it would turn to it would reveal his true form, and the cane will turn to Mjolnir, and he transformed to Thor. Because he was sent down there before to be humbled because of him being arrogant, kind of familiar to what you've seen in the first film. So after you find out that Odin has been free from Loki's enchantment, but he's informed Doctor Strange that he's gone to Norway and stuff. But this is where it gets strange. What I understand is that he's been away from Asgard for such a long time, and I think a lot of people are like, why, this is dumb, why did he do this, why did he do that? Odin realizes that he can't hold on to his life force anymore. He was trying to prevent Ragnarok, which is something that has to happen. So he just couldn't no more. And the last thing he told Thor and Loki was about Hela. He told him about Hela. He told him about, more about Ragnarok. And the only thing that was holding Hela away was his, like, an enchantment he put on her to seal her, and her army, and the Fenris wolf, all of that stuff. So I'm like, okay. So as soon as his life essence just dissipated and he went on to Valhalla or wherever he's at, that opened the gates right out, and she came right to him. But I guess she was grafted by, maybe she knew, she followed Thor and Loki, like, by I don't know how, I forgot how. Okay, I only seen the movie once. I got to see it again to really get into it. But anyway, she came and let her presence be known, and Thor and Loki tried to fight her. Thor threw his hammer at her, and she just, like, wow, just crushed it like glass and stuff. But then they got Scourge, who was filling in for Heimdall, to open the Bifrost. Well, Loki yelled for him to open it, and Scourge, you find out, knew that Odin was Loki the whole time. All right, so you found out that Scourge kind of knew that Scourge did know, and he was hiding it, that Loki was posing as Odin. So anyway, he was still loyal to Loki. He opened the Bifrost, and Hela chased him through, and she knocked Loki and Thor off course, and they both ended up in the same place. And when she got back to Asgard, she instantly killed Thranduil and Volstagg. They was like, they just were in the film. That's the one thing I didn't like about it, is that they were just there to die. The only one that really put up a fight was Hogun. Before he died, Hogun put up a fight, because you find that Hogun is the better warrior of the Warriors 3. And Lady Sif was nowhere to be found. I don't know what her fate is, because Jamie Alexander was too busy filming Blind Spot. So I don't know what the fate of that is. She could have been in another realm. I don't know. So maybe in future, if they do more Thor films, maybe by the 4th Avengers movie, she make a presence. No, I don't know what's going on. So you find out Thor lands on the junk planet, which is ran by the Grandmaster, who makes his money and makes a spectacle of the gladiator realm and people fighting. So, without his hammer and everything, he's on this planet. And people start to say, why is he so susceptible to that? He's supposed to be very strong and all this stuff. But he had the thing on his jugular. These things were made on this planet to make the biggest and strongest people cooperative to fight inside the gladiator arena. So that is why these things worked on Thor so much. It was right here on his jugular, number one, and stuff. And somebody made a comparison before. I'm trying to remember where. Why did it not why didn't it knock Loki out? And I'm like, look, because it was on his back, and it was constantly tasing him and tasing him and tasing him on the ground. Whereas, you ever been hit in the jugular by a stun gun? This is why people go down quickly when they hit here. This is why they teach you to hit here with the taser. Right here. Being shocked, hit anything. So, imagine something like that made to subdue the strongest aliens and cosmic beings. That's what keep him in line. So Thor gets captured by a bunch of people around, and then next thing you know, a female goes by the name of Scrapper 142, who collects worthy gladiators for the Grandmaster. She throws the thing on his neck and she brings Thor there, keeps him in check. Next thing you know, he's being sent through, and it's like the most hilarious scene. And I forgot the music, I forgot where it was from, but he's in a chair and he's being given like a grand tour. What they call those again? Not hallucinations. The God, it escapes my mind right now. You know, the holograms. He's giving a holographic tour of Grandmaster and all this other stuff in his vision and all this, and you know, there's comedy there, but I don't remember the haha jokes. Like, oh my god, it's so funny. I was like, actually, like, they were sprinkled in and stuff. So this is why I'm telling you, like, it wasn't just the comedy that made me enjoy the film. The comedy helped guide and helped push the narrative along and made the movie overall more enjoyable to me. So Thor, to speed it up, Thor gets into the gladiator. He's there. He meets Korg, which is, I love Korg. Korg is awesome. Korg is like voiced by the director Taika Waititi, and he has like the most soft-spoken New Zealand accent. So one of my favorite parts was the clip that they released when Thor is talking about his hammer. He's like, you know, I once had a hammer and I used to spin it and it would knock it fly. He's like, the hammer? He's like, yeah. He's like, I was spinning real fast and it would pull me off. Oh my god, did the hammer pull you off? He's like, the ground, it pulled me off the ground. So it made me think, like, you know, that's like like a little bit of comedy like that in between, and Korg like, oh, and that's Doug is dead, and things, this little lines peppered in at the part, and you realize the atmosphere of this planet was Sakaar was different from what the hell was going on in Asgard, and they kept cutting back and back, so people were like, the tone doesn't seem fit for that. It's like there was just wacky shit happening to Thor, and Thor was trying to get back to Asgard where all the serious shit was going on and stuff. So it kind of made the fun. What I'm saying about the humor is that it made it a little bit more smoother for children. Like, case in point, Man of Steel. Man of Steel was devoid of emotion. It was devoid of humor. It was devoid of heart. And children do not like Man of Steel. Ask somebody, like I asked my friend Nadia. Nadia's son Aiden fell asleep during that movie. And he was asking questions like, why is Superman so depressed? And so, I'm not making this up. This is what she was like. I would never take. She was like, no. She's kind of iffy on taking him to see Justice League now, but that's another story. So anyway, Man of Steel, like it don't have to be like Thor Ragnarok, which goes for the comedic route, like more heavier than any other Marvel Cinematic Universe film next to Guardians of the Galaxy, which is those three. The first two Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor Ragnarok are basically like the Cornello's three flavors with Edgar Wright, you know? Like it was like an Edgar Wright thing going on. These are the Edgar Wright movies of fucking Marvel. Think about it. You got you say Guardians of the Galaxy is like the first one is like Shaun of the Dead because it came out. Is the first one of that. The second one, the Guardians of the Galaxy 2, is the hot fuzz of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and then Thor Ragnarok is basically the world's end. Ironically, it's. I mean, I'm not ironically. Coincidentally, it's the same shit. So like the world's end ended up like that. Asgard, you had to find out throughout the movie, had to be destroyed. So I'm thinking, you know, all that, there's two different tones because there's two different events on two different areas going. So I kind of made peace with the fact that, you know, it wasn't that Thor didn't care what was happening on Asgard. He couldn't get back, and all the stuff he was going through had comedic bounce to it. on it because the world was colorful. It was Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby was one of the best artists and stuff for Thor, or writers, I forgot. But anyway, his vision had a lot of color to it. Had a lot of weird characters and stuff. And Sakaar, you couldn't play a place like Sakaar. This version of Sakaar, not like the comic book version. The movie version of Sakaar was a very colorful and very vibrant place, and you couldn't play it serious at all. But Asgard, that's where all the shit was happening. That's where he needed to get back to. He knew the stakes were high. He knew what he needed to do and stuff. But stuck on this planet, being forced to fight, and then next thing, let alone the Hulk, who happens to be the champion of this planet and stuff. This had to happen for the They pushed the fact that Thor is the hammer. He is the god of thunder. The hammer, like I was telling people before, is the conduit. People who don't know much about Thor, is that the hammer is the conduit to it. It's a means of controlling power. Oh, but it was made from the heart of a dying star. That was what brought it back to him, basically. That it gave the hammer other elements it gave the hammer other ability. It was a strong metal. That's basically what it was. It was a special metal. Like adamantium is special to the Marvel, to the X-Men, the Marvel universe in the comic book. How adamantium is a special metal. Well, to the realms, the heart of a dying star, that ore, whatever it was called, that was the special metal. That's something. That's the only one of the few things probably that can harness and handle Thor's power. So Thor, without his hammer, was still giving Hulk a run for his money. But then when the Hulk started really beating him down, pounding on him, Thor started channeling his powers, and Thor had him beat. So people were like, oh, why is Thor so weak? Thor's weak. No, Thor is not weak. Thor is always around powerful enemies. Thor, like Superman, is susceptible to magic. Just like anybody, like a lot of people are susceptible to magic and superheroes. But when it comes to power-wise, Hulk was just pounding on him, and he took that. So is he weak? No, he's not. When he started channeling the power of his thunder power, he started kicking the Hulk's ass. But then the Grandmaster fixed the fight, and that's how that ended. But they started chanting for him in there, and this is when Scrapper 142 started seeing that Thor was telling the truth earlier about being from Asgard. As for she was Asgardian as well. She turns out to be one of the ancient Valkyries, one of Odin's elite fighting force, and they were sent to fight Hela, and Hela wiped out all the Valkyries and stuff, and she was the only one that survived. So she ran away from that failure. She ran away from her survivor's guilt by drinking and working for the Grandmaster. And the way the time goes on planet Sakaar, time goes a lot slower than it does on Asgard. So either way, she's much older than Thor, so Thor knew of the Valkyries, and Thor and Loki knew of the Valkyries from legend. So she started realizing that she started seeing that where he displayed his power, that Thor was truly Odin's son. It wasn't just bullshit that she didn't believe. And then a part of her didn't want to believe it. And anyway, for those who don't know, when they did the flashback scene of her with the Valkyries, for all you comic book faithfuls, all the people out there who were like, oh my god, they always gotta color code and try to put people of color into characters. Like they complain about Heimdall, because Heimdall's white in the comic book, and Idris Elba played them. Now they complaining that a biracial girl who clearly looks biracial, clearly looks like a light-skinned black woman, even though she's mixed. Tessa Thompson's playing Valkyrie, but if you look back on a flashback of her battle with Hela you see that Brunhilde, the Valkyrie that we all know, jumped in front of a spear and took and saved Scrapper 142 Valkyrie, leaving her as the only survivor. So the Valkyrie that we know from the comic book gave her life for this Valkyrie. Problem solved, right? You're gonna complain about it being racist? Like, oh my god, you know? Oh my god, you shocked that the actual black character or blackish character survived out of a slaughter? You know, this ain't the Friday 13th. She ain't gonna be the first one that got killed. So anyway, she felt good. She felt remorse. She wanted to get back to it. She wanted to finish the job with Hela. She wanted to get revenge on Hela, and Thor needed to save Asgard from Hela and prevent Ragnarok. So they found a way back. You know, Hulk came along. At first, Hulk didn't want to leave. He loves it as Sakaar. He now is very vocal. He has the mentality and the vocal capacity of a 2-year-old. So he's been fighting since Age of Ultron. Bruce Banner has not seen the light of day for 2 years. So a lot of people I've also seen that a lot of people oh my god, why is he taking it so serious that the Hulk was just killing people? You forget, Bruce Banner doesn't remember that stuff. He doesn't know what was going on. When he comes out, when he turned back to Bruce Banner was like, where have I been? It's been 2 years and stuff. And he was freaking out because he doesn't know what was going on. So how could he have remorse for something that the Hulk did? Think about that. So anyway, they get back. They finally find a way. They steal the ship. They get Korg and the rest of the gladiator slaves to start an uprising against the Grandmaster, and at the same time Thor and Loki and Valkyrie, I will call it Valkyrie now, it's not Scrapper 142 no more, they make their escape back to Asgard and stuff. And this is where there's a little bit more comedy. This is one of my favorite comedic parts was real quick that they was like going up the elevator and you see Thor and Loki talking about going different paths, and after all of this we shouldn't cross paths anymore. That's just always what you wanted, right, Loki? And stuff. So they was like, you got a plan for this? He's like, let's do it, I'm hurt. He was like, I hate doing I'm hurt. So next thing go up the elevator, and next thing you know, Loki's pretending to be hurt. And he's like, oh my god, could you give me help to the guards? He's hurt. And all of a sudden, he just fastball throws Loki into all 4 of the guards, knocking him out. He's like, I hate when you do it. He's like, it never gets old. I love doing that. He a little jab in there for all the shit that Loki has done to him. So they heading towards the ship, and you see Loki split off and stuff, and his astral projection or his hologram is still walking with Thor. But Thor, like I said, he's smarter now and he's more hip to how Loki is, saw right through it. He already removed the shit from his jugular that was subduing him whenever someone either Valkyrie or Grandmaster presses the button. It would subdue him. He already removed it and put it on his back, on Loki's back, and he had the remote to it, and he pressed it and kept it on a constant stun. So it was constantly stunning him in his back. Whereas when it was on Thor, having it on your jugular is pure knockout. Like that right there could subdue anybody right here in the throat, the nerves, the trachea, all of that, like right here, because of the vessels. So I'm not. This is why we get cut hair. All that. Do you know how many nerves you have here? So that was to do. But he put it on Loki's back and kept him like on a constant stun, not a knockout stun. So he was just there and stuff, and he left from there. and him and Valkyrie went on, and they fought and got on. They fought and made it back to Asgard with Bruce Banner and stuff. And Valkyrie was like she was like, who is this guy and stuff. They didn't tell her at first, so this leads to another moment later on. So boom, I'm thinking like, all right, what's gonna happen with Loki? But here comes Korg, like, we having an error, we need to take the ship and stuff. Would you like to come? He's like, yeah, you guys can lead the leader. He's like, thank you. Like the way Korg talked throughout the movie was just hilarious because he was so spoken. It has such manners to be such a physically imposing creature. Like that's what made the voice work. So shout out to Taika Waititi for the contrast of that. So he gets, they get there. The three of them, Loki, Thor, and Bruce Banner, get to Asgard and stuff. They find Heimdall, who is still hiding. The Asgardians, the common Asgard, not the soldiers, because all the soldiers got wiped out by Hela. Hela is no fucking joke. Let's get into Hela. Now that we on Asgard, even though she was presented in the movie earlier, but on Asgard, she was just nothing could touch her really. Heimdall was hiding. And again, it was a good scene too. Heimdall can allow you to see what he sees. So he had a connection with Thor, and Thor was seeing everything. So Thor really needed to get back to Asgard because he saw that the stakes were even higher. He needed to see that. That's another thing too. I didn't want to forget that Thor never forgot what was going on in Asgard and was just having the comedic time of his life. Just funny shit. He's just Chris Hemsworth. Thor is just a jovial character, and Chris Hemsworth is just a funny guy. So they played more into his jovialness and stuff, but he needed to get back, and he did get back. And when he got there, they had a plan. He had a plan to go face Hela, and he had to. He knew how strong she was, and in his battle, he lost his eye. And I give it up to the people who edited this movie, because when you seen Thor come down with the hammer and Ragnarok in the commercials, you seen the power coming from both his eyes. But they paid attention to detail so much that when Hela cut out his right eye, she slashed it out. When he came down with it, when he fully powered up, you see that he only had power coming from his left eye. He only had the lightning coming from his left eye and stuff. And I'm like, okay, he's he was going into a state of failure. Hela was beating him, and he had a vision, and he was talking to Odin. Odin was like, even with two eyes, you still couldn't see the full picture. He like, Father, I'm nothing without the hammer. He like, what are you, son? Are you the god of thunder, or are you the god of hammers? And then next thing you know, that power that he channeled against the Hulk came out fully and stuff. And he knocked Hela away. But then he saw the Asgardian citizens being attacked by Hela's undead army and the Fenris Wolf. And he went down there and started wrecking them. Now, let's be clear. Thor didn't need his full thunder power to wreck out those undead soldiers. The undead soldiers were susceptible to gunfire. That didn't make Thor look weak at all. What happened is that Thor actually used his powers to help his people. It wasn't that, oh my god, he was weak and I don't what is with this power fantasy? We can't have omnipotent superheroes. You gotta present some kind of drama to that and stuff. You need some kind of way to work up, have some kind of underdog factor to it. When you have omnipotent superheroes, what's the purpose of having the movie? So anyway, he saved them and stuff, but then Hela came down and he fought, and he realized even with his full power, it still wasn't enough to stop her, and he had to save the people he can. And he remembered what Odin told him. Odin told him this early in the movie, that Asgard is a place, it's the people. So Thor realized, look, I can save these people. I can save my people. We can find elsewhere to go. Norway they're going to. They're going to Norway. You know, that's the people who worshiped them back in the Viking times. The Vikings worshipped the Asgardians as gods in the Marvel cinematic, in the Marvel lore. So that's why. So they would go back. He would take them to Earth on, because Korg, who I told you picked up Loki, brought the ship. I was like, okay, boom, he's there. Let's get him there. You know, let's get the people on this ship. Let's get them all there and get away from here. And Thor was like, look, I can't stop Hela. There's only one person who can stop her, Surtur, the demon lord Surtur. He must let Ragnarok happen. So he already has Surtur's crown, Surtur's skull and crown. So he threw Surtur. He had Loki go and take Surtur's crown from the vault, put it into the eternal flame, which was used to bring back Hela's army, and it would revive Surtur, more powerful than he's ever been. Because he needed, the way when Thor defeated him early in the movie and killed him, he basically wasn't at full power. So Thor defeated him and took his skull back, but Thor realized Ragnarok has to happen. This is the only way he can save everyone. And it coincides with what his father says. Asgard is not a place, it's the people. So as long as Thor is as long as Asgardians live, Thor will have that power, that he would channel that power. He is more powerful than Odin. Odin admits. Alright, so Hela, we don't know. He destroys Ragnarok. Hela tries to fight. I mean, he brings on Ragnarok and the destruction of Asgard, which you find out has to happen. It's happened for every so and so thousands of years, and there's always been a recycle of it. And Odin has been trying to prevent that from happening. And Odin lived way longer than he should have, because Ragnarok should have taken him out. You know? Like you find out that in the comic book version, Hela is the daughter of Loki. Not Tom Hiddleston Loki we know, but Loki from before the previous Ragnarok. So that's why Thor Ragnarok, that's kind of why in the end, when everything's said and done, and Thor let Ragnarok, he had Loki bring on Ragnarok by reviving Surtur with the eternal flame. And let's not forget, Loki took the Tesseract. If you're wondering, he looked at it for a reason. You know he's taking it, but of course he hasn't told Thor, because it's Loki. How would it be Loki without always having a trump card, and always having some kind of plan up his sleeve? You know, like he said, he's a self-preservationist. He would throw you under the bus to save his own life, even his own adopted brother that he grew up with. And Thor knows that. So in the end, once Ragnarok happens and they leave on the ship, you know, Thor is pretty much made king of Asgard and takes over, and he's gonna bring them to Earth. And it's everyone: the Hulk, Korg, Valkyrie, Heimdall, all the citizens, all the gladiators that came with them. But just as they've flown through space, a giant ship pops up, and that's how the movie ends. So you start, and that more than likely is Thanos. Alright? So I know I've talked for a long time and stuff, and I basically gave you a synopsis of the film and stuff and my thoughts of how it went. I still like this film a lot. I was like really I was listening, like, you know, because people tell you, oh my god, you must be a fanboy, how can you like this film? This is bullshit, why is it funny? This ain't supposed to be funny. It worked for me. I like Ragnarok. It definitely worked for me. Like, it worked better than The Dark World did. It worked better than the first movie worked for me. and the comedy wasn't like, and it worked. The comedy worked a little bit better than it did in Guardians of the Galaxy because you didn't have someone like Drax like forcing it on you. It's funny. No, it's just like Thor, like, I'm gonna escape and I'm gonna make it on my own, and he throws the ball to knock out the window, but it bounces back and knocks him down real quick, and he gets back up like that. It doesn't linger on the joke for a long time or on the laughing, trying to force you to laugh. It just, the comedy happened, and then it's like, back to it only takes a break for a couple of seconds. Maybe at the beginning when he's spinning around, that was probably one of the longest jokes that went on. When he was on the chain and he was in the cage and he talking to Serta, and he spent around and he spent around again. That was probably the longest one. See, the comedy was better than Guardians of the Galaxy 2 because it doesn't feel so forced. Taika Waititi is a comedic director. I heard that the 2 movies he directed, his 2 best movies in New Zealand, were very hilarious. I need to check them out because I would probably have a better appreciation for this film if I did. But anyway, as it stands, I give Thor Ragnarok, I give it a fucking solid, I give it a B-. I give it a B-. You know why? Because I just really felt like it would have been a super A, but I feel like there was some things that should have not been removed from the movie. Like, case in point, they removed a few key elements and characters from the movie, I guess for time reasons or so. And once I found out exactly what it is, like who it was and stuff, because I think they mentioned Sif, that they deleted that. I read that somewhere. I want to find out for sure. But I'm still giving it a B- because it's not perfect. It has its issues and stuff, and I get what people are saying about it and stuff, and it wasn't like, oh my god, it was the greatest movie ever. I just was like, I had a blast with the movie. I just thought I thought it was good. I thought like the overall package of comedy, of action, of what it means to the Marvel Cinematic Universe overall, I felt that it does its job and it pushed the envelope basically. And going forth, if Thor continues to have movie franchises, and when he continues to appear in other movies going up ahead, it won't feel so out of place, because if Asgard is rebuilt on Earth like it happened in the actual comic book, that's good, because that means that keeps him closer and more accessible to the other heroes. So that means he could potentially pop up in other movies. So it actually pushes that story along good too. And the ending, though, I think that leads right into Infinity War. I hope it does. So overall, B- and stuff. And it wasn't, I can't do a separate comedy review thinking, oh, I'm doing it because it was a comedy, but as a superhero, no, as an overall package, B-. I would buy it if I was still buying Blu-rays and stuff. Now that the digital era here, I really don't have to. This would definitely be a buy. If they had this in 3D for my television, I would buy it. You know what? I might just, if they have a 3D version that come out. I enjoyed the film. It made me laugh. Not just because it made me laugh, it's because it had good action, and Thor finally was like, Chris Hemsworth finally felt like he was able to be himself. He was able to be funny and stuff, and also Thor was able to, you finally got to see how powerful Thor really is. And against all people, the Hulk. He fought the Hulk, and he nearly beat him if it wasn't for the Grandmaster. And if people said Thor was weak in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know what to tell you. Now, this should answer that. This should quench that thirst. Now that he doesn't now that he believes in his own inner power and not a hammer. This is what we was waiting for all of those who was like, why isn't he destroying? Thor was holding his own self back because of what Odin taught him, what Odin didn't teach him, actually, about his own abilities. And God forbid if he ever if they ever incorporate that he actually is, you know, that his mother is Gaia. In the comic book, Thor is the is the son of Odin and the mother of Gaia. Frigga wasn't his biological mother. If they ever incorporate that version into the cinematic universe, he has other abilities. Yo, Thor is powerful. You see how powerful he truly is in Ragnarok. That's the thing I liked about it. And I see that, and like I said before, the comedy actually helps the younger audience get through a lot of the stuff. If this movie played it extremely serious, and it was Ragnarok, and it was the destruction of Asgard, and it was all this other stuff, it would need a rated R, and it would alienate the children. You gotta forget, at the end of the day, these are comic book based movies. It's not a graphic novel. This is a actual comic that kids can buy off the shelf, and it needs something to reach multiple audiences, and with the comedy, it helped with that. Thor lost his goddamn eye. It got just sliced out. Hogan got killed. Volstagg got killed. Thranduil got killed. All those Asgardian soldiers got wiped out. The whole place got blown up. You thought Sokovia was bad, and people died in Sokovia. No, imagine a whole city nearly wiped out, and only a pocket of people survived. Only a pocket of people survived. All the people, all the civilians are the one. Like, imagine just civilians survived, and they were fighting against the undead too, and stuff. And Thor came in. They were ready. They was ready. They was thrown down against the undead as well. These undead was just undead. They weren't powerful creatures. Thor just went direct. He started wrecking them. He didn't need that thunder power to wreck them out, like I said. But anyway, I've spoken way too long. I actually enjoyed the film. B-. Want to watch it again to see if I missed anything besides the Easter eggs. Like, I caught the Valkyrie one right away and stuff. And there's a lot of other stuff that I need to watch it a few more times to get. But the Valkyrie one, realizing that was Brunhilde, the comic book Valkyrie who saved Scrapper 142 Valkyrie, I knew that right away. And I had to look it up, and sure enough, other people online confirmed it for me. So this movie it's worth one more view for me, and a few more. But anyway, I enjoyed it, and boy, my voice is parched. Anyway, everybody, it's Kazama Fury, Blue Collar Gamer, and I'm going to remind you to keep watching what you want, keep gaming the way you want, keep being you. Peace out. Just let me know that you watched the video. Leave a comment, thumbs up, I don't care. Either one of them would do me fine. Alright? But thank you for watching. Peace.